Malik stood outside the tall glass building. The sun was shining, but Malik felt a cold wave in his chest. Today was a big day. He was going to a very important meeting in a huge company. This company had millions of dollars, many workers, and powerful leaders. Malik was young, smart, and full of dreams. But today he would face more than just a meeting. He would face the harsh truth of people's hidden minds. Malik took a deep breath and pushed open the heavy glass door. The sound of his shoes echoed on the shiny floor as he walked down the long hallway. His heart beat fast, but his face stayed calm. He knew this was his chance to prove himself. When Malik entered the boardroom, all eyes turned to him. The room was large and filled with serious men and women in sharp suits. At the head of the table sat the CEO, Mr. Harrison, a tall man with a stern face and cold eyes. Around him were other executives, middle-aged and confident. They whispered quietly among themselves. Malik could hear some of their words, sharp and cold. "Look at him," one man whispered. "Does he really think he belongs here? Who invited him?" "He doesn't fit in," said another, laughing quietly. Malik felt their eyes on his skin. He noticed the small sneers and the sideways glances. Their jokes were quiet, but their meaning was clear. They saw Malik as different because of his skin color. He was the only black man in the room. Malik sat down at the far end of the table, his hands folded calmly. He listened to the CEO speak about the company's future, but inside, Malik's mind was sharp and alert. He knew this was more than just business. This was a test of respect. Malik had worked hard to reach here, but today, respect was not freely given. After the CEO finished talking, it was time to meet Malik properly. Mr. Harrison stood up and walked toward him. Malik stood too, ready to shake hands, but the CEO stopped and looked at Malik's hand. Without a word, he turned his face away and walked back to his seat. The room went silent for a moment. Malik did not move. He kept his hand down. His eyes, however, burned with quiet fire. He was not angry, not yet, but inside, a storm was rising. The other executives watched the scene, some smiling with satisfaction, some pretending not to notice. Malik stayed calm. He took a seat again and looked straight ahead. Then something small but powerful happened. Malik slowly took out his phone from his pocket. His hand did not shake. No one expected this move. He held the phone quietly and began dialing a number. The camera of the story zooms in on his fingers, pressing the numbers one by one. The room's energy changed. The CEO noticed and frowned. The executives stopped talking. Everyone watched Malik's quiet action. What call was he making? Who was on the other end? Malik stayed calm. His eyes met the CEO's for a moment. No words were spoken, but the message was clear. Malik was not just a man to be ignored or mocked. He had power too, a hidden power. The camera focused on Malik's serious face, then slowly faded to black. This was only the beginning. Inside Malik, a strong will grew. He remembered all the times people looked down on him just because of the color of his skin. Today, he would show them that respect is earned, not given by fear or hate. The boardroom was full of rich men, but Malik had something more valuable: courage and a plan. As Malik's fingers pressed the last number on his phone, the story was just starting to turn. What would happen next? The CEO's world was about to change forever. After the tense meeting, Malik stepped quietly out of the boardroom. The hallway was empty, cold, and long. His heart still beat strong, but his face showed no fear. He reached a small private corner where he could make his call without interruptions. He took out his phone again and pressed the green button. The line rang once, twice. Then a calm voice answered. "Hello?" Malik spoke softly but clearly. "It's Malik. I'm at the company. The meeting didn't go as planned." There was silence for a moment. Then the voice on the other side said, "We expected that. Are you ready?" Malik nodded to himself, though no one could see him. "Yes, they don't see me as a threat. They think I'm just one man, but they don't know who I really am connected to." Malik's voice grew, stronger, full of quiet power. "Tell the board and the investors that if they don't treat me with respect, the funding will stop. We're talking billions. $3.3 billion. He heard a short, firm, understood. The voice was calm, but serious. Malik ended the call and pocketed his phone. He looked out the window at the city below. The sun was shining, but the clouds above were dark. This meeting was just the start of a storm. Inside, Malik remembered all the people who looked down on him, who judged him before. They knew him. Today he had a chance to change everything, not just for himself, but for all those who had been ignored and hurt. Back in the boardroom, the CEO and his team continued their discussion, unaware of the call Malik had just made. The CEO, Mr. Harrison, laughed with his friends, still sure of his power. But soon that confidence would begin to fade. Malik returned to his seat quietly, acting as if nothing had happened. The executives looked at him, curious and confused. How could one man stay so calm after being disrespected? Malik's calm was his strength. Inside him, a plan was forming. He knew exactly who to call and how to make them listen. Hours passed. The office was busy, phones ringing nonstop. Suddenly, the CEO's phone buzzed. He picked it up, his face changing from confident to worried. "Malik?" the CEO asked, trying to keep control. "What's this about pulling funding?" Malik stayed silent. He let the CEO's fear grow. The CEO tried to calm the caller, but his words stumbled. He hung up, looking pale. Meanwhile, Malik watched carefully. He knew the CEO's world was starting to shake. Word spread fast. Investors were calling, asking hard questions about Malik and the company's respect for him. The executives started to whisper nervously. Malik's quiet power was no longer a secret. Malik's phone buzzed again. Another message. "You're making waves. Keep going." Malik smiled slightly but didn't answer. His eyes showed determination. That night, Malik left the office. Outside, the city lights sparkled, but Malik's mind was on the battle ahead. He was ready for what was coming. The phone call was only the beginning of a fight for respect, dignity, and change. The next morning, the air in the company was thick with tension. Malik walked into the office, calm as ever, but the faces around him told a different story. Whispers filled the hallways. People stopped their work just to glance at him, unsure what was really happening. In the CEO's office, Mr. Harrison sat behind his massive desk, his usual confident smile gone. His fingers drummed nervously on the polished wood. He stared at his phone, still replaying the last call he received from an important investor. The investor's words had been clear and harsh. "We cannot continue funding this company if it allows discrimination like this to happen. We expect respect and equality, or the money stops." Mr. Harrison's pride had taken a hard hit. He was used to power, respect, and control, but now everything was slipping away, all because of one, Ben Malik. He called an emergency meeting with his top executives. They gathered in the glass conference room, faces grim. "We have a serious problem," Mr. Harrison began. "Our biggest investors are threatening to pull out billions of dollars. This all started because of Malik." One executive scoffed. "It's just one man. We don't need to bow to him." Mr. Harrison shook his head, frustration clear in his voice. "No, this is bigger than him. It's about the company's reputation. If we lose this money, we lose everything." Back in the main office, Malik sat quietly at his desk. He heard the whispers but did not react. His phone buzzed again. A message from an ally inside the company. "They're scared. Keep pressure on." Malik smiled faintly. This was exactly what he planned. Meanwhile, Mr. Harrison paced in his office. He hated feeling powerless. He hated that a man he looked down on had turned the tables. Desperately, the CEO tried to reach Malik directly. "Malik, can we talk? I want to fix this." Malik replied with a simple message. "Respect is earned, not given." That reply shocked Mr. Harrison. For the first time, he realized Malik was not just fighting for himself. Malik was fighting for respect for all people. Like him, the CEO's mind raced. How did Malik have so much power? Who was backing him? Outside, news of the tension in the company spread. Other investors, reporters, and employees watched closely. Malik knew the battle was far from over, but he was ready. Every challenge only made him stronger. He leaned back in his chair and thought about all the people who had been looked down upon. Today was their moment. The camera slowly zoomed on Malik's determined face as the scene faded out. Days passed, but the tension in the company only grew. Malik kept working quietly, but his phone kept buzzing with important messages. Investors, friends, even strangers were reaching out to support him. His simple act of standing strong was turning into something much bigger. One afternoon, Malik was called into the CEO's office. His heart didn't race, he was calm and ready. When he entered, Mr. Harrison was waiting, but he wasn't alone. A woman stood beside him, Jessica, the company's chief financial officer. Jessica had watched everything unfold quietly. She was a strong woman who believed in fairness and justice. Today, she was ready to speak. "Malik," Jessica said softly, "I want to be honest with you. I didn't think you had this much power. You've made us see things differently." Malik looked at her surprised. He hadn't expected support from the CFO. Jessica continued, "This company needs change, real change. Not just for you, but for everyone. We can't lose billions of dollars because of hate and ignorance." Mr. Harrison nodded, but his face was still hard. "We need a plan to fix this fast." Malik felt the weight of the moment. Here was a chance not just to win, but to bring true respect and fairness to the company. He took a deep breath. "I'm willing to help, but respect must come first. No more jokes, no more ignoring people because of their skin." Jessica smiled gently. "Agreed. Let's work together." Outside the office window, the city buzzed with life. Malik felt hope growing inside him. The fight was far from over, but now he had allies. Suddenly, Malik's phone buzzed again. Message appeared. "Big news coming. Get ready." Malik's eyes narrowed with determination. The story was just beginning. The next few days were intense. Malik, Jessica, and a small group of trusted employees worked behind the scenes. They created a plan, not just to save the company's funding, but to change the culture inside forever. But change is never easy. Word had spread throughout the company about Malik's fight. Some people supported him quietly, but others whispered and watched, waiting to see if he would fail. One morning, Malik entered the office to find a crowd gathered near the lobby. The CEO had called a company-wide meeting, a rare event. The room was packed. Malik's heart beat fast but steady. Everyone was watching him. Mr. Harrison stood at the front looking tired but serious. "We have made mistakes," he began. "Mistakes I want to fix starting today," the crowd murmured. Malik felt a flicker of hope. Then Mr. Harrison did something unexpected. He looked directly at Malik and said, "I was wrong to ignore you, and your worth. We want to make things right." Malik's eyes met Jessica's. She nodded encouragingly. Then Mr. Harrison announced a new initiative, one that promised respect, diversity, and fairness in every part of the company. The room broke into applause. Malik smiled but stayed calm. This was only the beginning. Later that day, Malik received a call. The investors had agreed to stay and support the company, only if the new plan was followed. Malik knew the pressure wasn't over, but today was a victory. As Malik walked through the office, people began to approach him. Some said thank you. Others just nodded quietly. Malik's fight was no longer just his own. It was for everyone who had ever been looked down on. He looked out the window, the city shining bright beneath the evening sky. The battle was far from over, but the future was beginning to change. Not everyone was happy about the changes. Even after the CEO's apology and the new company initiative, whispers of discontent grew louder in some corners. Some employees resented Malik's rise. They saw him as an outsider who had forced change upon them. One morning, Malik arrived to find his office door covered in hateful messages and slurs. His heart sank, but his eyes burned with quiet strength. Jessica immediately came to his side. "This is hard, Malik, but you are not alone." Malik nodded. I know. They want to break me, but they will not win. The CEO, Mr. Harrison, held a company meeting to address the growing tension. We must stand together, he said firmly. This company will not tolerate hate. We are stronger as one. Despite this, Malik faced cold stares and whispered rumors. Some even tried to sabotage his projects. But Malik stayed focused. He knew the fight for respect was never easy. Every day tested his patience and courage. Outside work, Malik's phone buzzed again. A message from a powerful supporter. Keep going, we believe in you. Malik smiled. It was the strength he needed. That night, as Malik looked out over the city lights, he thought of all who faced injustice. He made a silent promise to never back down. The battle for respect was far from over, but Malik was ready. This part adds tension through backlash while showing Malik's determination and support, keeping the audience emotionally invested and eager to see what happens next. Would you like me to continue with Part 7? Part 4.1 Many weeks passed, and the company slowly began to change. The hateful messages stopped. More employees joined Malik and Jessica in pushing for a better workplace. One morning, Malik was called to the CEO's office again. This time, the atmosphere was different, warmer, hopeful. Mr. Harrison smiled. Malik, your courage has changed this company. The investors have confirmed a new $3.3 billion funding deal because of you. Malik felt a rush of pride and relief. It wasn't just about money. It was about respect, dignity, and proving that strength comes from unity. Jessica handed Malik a small card. This is a thank you from all of us. Malik looked at it. It read, "For courage and change." As Malik left the office, the entire company gathered outside, cheering and applauding him. The same people who once looked down now lifted him up. Malik smiled humbly. He knew this was not just his victory. It was everyone's. Later that day, Malik sat quietly in his office, thinking back to the first day in the boardroom. So much had changed. His phone buzzed again. This time, it was a message from a young man inspired by Malik's story. Malik typed back, "Keep fighting. Change is possible." The city lights shone brightly outside his window, a symbol of hope and new beginnings. Malik's journey showed the power of courage and standing tall. No matter the odds, the fight for respect had won.